To today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian, and I'm streaming to you from beautiful, rainy Budapest today. Welcome, everybody. We're going to kick this week off with some IELTS speaking part 1 practice and strategy. Great to see so many students in class already. Hi, Pachu. Hi, Aisha. Awaz, Rajpreet, Sushil, and Carolina. Good to see so many of you here with me. Again, these classes and lessons are brought to you by our world-class IELTS preparation websites, aehelp.com for academic version of the exam, and for the general module, check us out at ieltshelp.com. Now, students, this is a speaking class. You can hear me. I can't hear you. But I definitely like to imagine that students are speaking and repeating what I say and what you hear. Make sure to repeat questions as well as answers. Oftentimes I find that students focus a lot on learning statements and sentences, but don't focus so much on learning questions. So make sure you focus on practicing questions as well as answers. All right, you can get our app, Academic IELTS Help. Look for our Shield in your Android or iOS app stores. And just quickly, while a few more students join in, our websites look like this with the green background. This is for general IELTS at gieltshelp.com. You can click that big red button to join, get over 100 hours of HD video lessons, a fully interactive course, and 6 original practice exams, all targeting the general IELTS. For the academic, looks like this with the blue background. Click that red button to join there, or you can try it free by clicking that green try demo button as well. If you have questions about the exam or our products, we're here to help. Send me an email, Adrian, A-D-R-I-A-N, at aehelp.com. These classes, students, they are Wednesday through to Saturday usually. If there's ever a change in the schedule, I will always let you know early. Classes are according to Central European time, CET time, because I'm in Budapest right now. Otherwise, I am Canadian. The classes start at 13:30 for members and 15 o'clock where everybody can chat. Of course, everybody is welcome in both of those classes. Today, we have speaking part 1 for everyone. Tomorrow, we will have a task 1 line graph for members, and then that will be followed by a task 2 essay start for everybody. That'll be our Halloween schedule. All right, so students, let's start off here with listening. You walk into your listening exam. Make sure you go early. Make sure you take the identification with you that you use to register, your passport or your national ID. Feel calm, feel confident. Be proud of yourself. You've achieved an excellent level of English to go and talk to someone one-on-one. That's great. I wish I could do that in many of the languages that you speak around the world. Okay, so let's warm up. Let's go through some of the basic questions that you will always be asked. Practice these often. Never get bored of these questions. You need to be very natural and fluent so you make a great first impression. Here is one of the first questions that you will certainly be asked. May I see your identification? The examiner has to ask you this because they need to match your ID with their sheet. Okay, so give me a nice answer for this one. Good to see some of our members in this class as well. Now I see Roshni, you're here. It's fantastic. Bonakanti says, yes, here it is. Roshni says, yes, sir, here it is. Jane Antlers says, certainly. Sir or miss, here you go. Sudanshu says, does clothing matter in the speaking? You should wear comfortable, semi-formal clothing, Sudanshu. You don't have to get into a suit. Okay. Akluwali Simran says, yes, here is my passport. Good. Some nice vocabulary right off the bat. Puranjay says, definitely, here it is. Shang Hung says, certainly, here it is. Please have a look. Yeah, so many ways to respond to this. So sound natural. Make sure that the examiner feels like you're going to speak with them naturally and not try to use memorized words and expressions that you think will get you good band scores. So, yes, of course. Here is my ID. Please take a look. Okay. So again, speak and repeat, students. May I see your identification? Yes, of course. Here's my ID. Please take a look. Students, the IELTS is not an English lesson. You're not with an English teacher. It's an exam. They will speak natural. Some native speakers speak a little bit faster, some slower. So you might hear the examiner say, may I see your identification? This is a bit of a slower native speaker. Some native speakers are fast. They'll say, may I see your identification? Okay, so there's fast, slow. They'll just be natural with you. Okay, not like an English teacher that slows their speech. Yes, of course, here is my ID. Please take a look. All right. Then the next question, certainly, because they check your ID and they match you to your identification and registration. What is your full name? Again, be ready for this question. What is your full name? Make sure you say the same name that's on your passport. They need to match those two. If it doesn't match, they'll kind of look at you like, are you sure you are you and not a doppelganger? Awaz Aksmedov says, my full name is Aksmedov Awaz. Please refer to me as Ed. Sure. Okay, so that's your nickname. That's perfect. Roshni says, my full name is Roshni Kunte, and please call me by my first name, Roshni. Okay, good. That works, Roshni. Perfect. Okay. All right. Ponekanti says, my full name is Ponekanti Udayasri. As you can also see in my passport, please call me by my nickname, Uday. Okay, Uday, that's very good. Again, their next question will be, what should I call you? And so you might as well tell them right away what to call you. It shows that you're prepared for the exam. Okay. Daniil Tarasov, a new member. Good to see a new member in the class. Make sure, Daniil, to send me an email so I can hook you up with your perks. Daniil says, my actual full name is Daniil Tarasov. Would you mind please calling me Daniil? Daniil, it's awkwardly polite, especially because your nickname is your name. So I would simplify that, Daniil. I would just say, my full name is Daniil Tarasov. Please just call me Daniil. Okay. Daniil, we would say, would you mind please calling me Alex if my full name is Alexander? Okay, if I'm shortening or changing my name to a short form or a nickname form, then I would say, would you mind please just calling me Pete instead of Peter? It's what my friends call me. Okay, so if you're being really polite like that in English, we naturally use that when we're changing our name in some way. Okay. All right. Niccolo Fabri says, my family name is Fabri. My given name is Niccolo. My complete name is Fabri Niccolo, but you can just call me Nick. Okay, Niccolo, too complex, okay? Unnaturally. Take out that middle part. So and nice and fluent, Niccolo. So my family name is Fabri. My given name is Niccolo. Please just call me Nick. Okay? So my family name is Fabri, and connect it. My given name is Niccolo with a long O. I don't have that on my keyboard right now. Please just call me Nick. Okay, that works well. Sure. All right. Don't unnecessarily overcomplicate, students. And I'm going to write that down as my first tip. So you're not going to get extra points if you're complicating unnecessarily. In fact, you'll probably lose marks because you're not being natural and you're likely going to make more mistakes with grammar and so on. And I see students doing this because they think they're going to pick up more points, but that's not true, okay? You need to be expressive, concise, but not overcomplicating. So this is my tip number 1 for today, is be expressive. That means answer, explain, example, and concise. Concise means don't say ideas, information in an overcomplicated way. Keep it as short as possible, but that doesn't mean speak short, okay? So be expressive and concise, but do not overcomplicate, okay? Keep in mind, if you overcomplicate unnecessarily, you will lose marks for not being natural and likely making mistakes. There's a big difference between being expressive and overcomplicating, all right? Shubra, good to see another member joining in on the class. That's fantastic. Okay, so keep that in mind, and you should feel that. You should know that, okay? Don't repeat yourself. Don't double paraphrase ideas, okay? All right, and then a couple more warm-up questions here that are commonly asked. Where do you live? Okay, so they'll ask you a couple questions to make you feel comfortable, to have you feel relaxed. One common one is, where do you live? All right. Puranjay says, I reside in the city of Bangalore, which is also known as the Silicon Valley of India. I did not know that, Puranjay. Bangalore, the Silicon Valley of India. That's great. Puranjay, where do you live? In a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom apartment? So the best answer for this question, students, is usually to say your residence plus your location, okay? That's being expressive but not overcomplicating. So residence plus location, okay? Notice the difference between these two words, students, okay? Residence, residence, almost the exact same pronunciation. You might not even hear a difference. This is residence, this is residence with a slight T sound, okay? This is the actual building, and these are the people that live there, okay? Sometimes I see students confusing that, or those two, like patience and patience. Okay, so let's see some more answers here. Charlie Sen says, I live in a 1-bedroom apartment in Kolkata, which is not only the capital of the western state of Bengal, but also one of the most populated and oldest metropolitan cities in India and perhaps the world. Charlie Sen, right? Very good. Nice expressive information, Charlie. So, and you gave me a little bit about the city where you live. Careful not to overspeak, Charlie. That's very close to borderline, but it's a nice high band score for that. You're telling me your residence and you're telling me your location. And that's exactly what you want to do for that question. That's the most expressive way to respond to where you live. Okay. Karuna Rupa says, I live in Mumbai, but now for a while I'm living in Bangalore for work and school. Karuna. Okay, a little bit more expressive, a little bit more clarity there. Students, don't make a mistake in these first few questions, otherwise it'll be really hard to pull your band score up, okay? Zaid says, I live in Amman, Jordan. Please call me Amman. Okay, Zaid, don't mix your information. This is just one question here. Where do you live, right? Let's see. Tariku Abebe says, I am living in a small house in Addis Ababa, which is the capital city of Ethiopia. Addis Ababa has about 5 million people living there and a subtle climate. Okay, good, Tariku. Has a population of about 5 million, Tariku. A little bit of grammar correction for the last half of what you're saying. Okay? All right. Meriev, competente. I live in the small town of Owas in the province of Laguna, which is in the eastern part of the Philippines. Very nice, Mariev. Where do you live? In a 1-bedroom house, 2-bedroom house, 3-bedroom apartment? So answer that, okay? I live in a 2-bedroom apartment in the 13th district of Budapest, quite close to the beautiful Danube River. Of course, Budapest is the capital of Hungary, which is located in the heart of Europe. And if we want to be even more specific, I can even say in the Carpathian, maybe I can spell this, basin. Okay? Basin is a depression in geography. Okay? It's surrounded by mountains, and it's a low-lying flatland. It's called a basin. So here we go. Repeat after me. Where do you live? I live in a 2-bedroom apartment in the 13th district of Budapest, quite close to the beautiful Danube River. Of course, Budapest is the capital of Hungary, which is located in the heart of Europe in the Carpathian Basin, both Budapest and Hungary, of course. All right, so again, remember for that question, where do you live, give the residence, not the residence, residence, and the location. Okay? Mirwas Kwatae. Good luck on your test tomorrow. I'm with you in spirit, cheering for you. I hope you do well. Okay? All right, so let's keep going here. One more warm-up question. What do you like about your hometown? There's a good question. What do you like about your hometown? Inglaterra para brasileiros. Inglaterra, English speaking in Brazil, I think, translation. Inglaterra para brasileiros says, actually, I live in Stockport with my wife. This city is located south of Manchester in the UK. And it's near the city center. Okay? Para brasileiros, careful with your grammar a little bit there, okay? Stockport, which is located with my wife, okay? Careful with word order, all right? Carolina Asano says, what I like about my hometown is the healthcare system. public education, and also there are lots of opportunities to start a business. Like me and my parents started a Colombian restaurant 3 years ago. Fantastic, Carolina. Good. So you're giving an answer, some explanation, and an example. It's very clear in my mind when a student does that. So you said, I like in my city that there are lots of opportunities for business. Like my family and I, we started a restaurant a few years ago. Really nice, okay? Lots of support there, all right? All right. Let's see, who else has? Daljinder Kaur says, there are a lot of aspects of my hometown that I like, such as parks, the Sikh temples, and my school from where I graduated. Not from where I completed my studies, from where I graduated. It's better vocab choice, okay? Careful choosing your vocabulary. Students, choose the best possible words. Again, try to be concise. Michelle Ternio says, I have a question for Adrian. I had my IELTS exam last week, and during my speaking exam, I had a 10-second pause. I ran out of words. Will this affect my score? Michelle, I think you're thinking about part 2 maybe, where you might have paused for 10 seconds to think. It's hard to say how that will affect your score. I'd have to hear your responses. If you did well otherwise, you can still get a very good band score. However, if the 10-second pause is awkward, it seems like you're trying to think of English rather than information, then that can cost you band scores for sure. Okay. All right. So let's take one more. Kala. Being in this small town for me is a lot of fun because it has a few shops and beautiful residential areas. Apart from that, it's warm, which means I can work without turbulence. I'm not sure what that means, working without turbulence, but it's okay. All right. Budapest is an incredible global city with a lot to offer. I truly enjoy the many Turkish baths where I can go to relax and rejuvenate on weekends. In fact, I was just there last Saturday as well. There are loads of great local and international cuisines. Furthermore, the people are mostly friendly and helpful. Okay. All right. So when you're talking about a city, there are two important pieces that you can think of right away. One are the amenities like restaurants, amusement parks, as well as the infrastructure like public transportation, roadways, and of course the people, the culture, the society. So remember, for the IELTS exam, try to think about these global situations. So this is my tip number 2 for today, is the IELTS speaking exam is designed so that most people in the world can come up with simple, generic responses to the questions being asked by the examiner. So, when you practice, learn the generic concepts and think of what 9 of 10 people would likely respond. Okay. So the example here is when you're talking about what you like in a city, the two ideas that should come to you right away are people and amenities. Okay. So keep that in mind. Okay. The questions for the exam in the speaking should be gender neutral, should be racially neutral, religiously neutral, age neutral. What that means is that most people who are from the age of, let's say, 16 to 85 should be able to come up with some quick generic answers, okay? Don't overcomplicate, all right? So when you're thinking about a city, think about amenities, think about culture, think about people, okay? Repeat after me. What do you like about your hometown? Budapest is an incredible global city with a lot to offer. I truly enjoy the many Turkish baths where I can go to relax and rejuvenate on weekends. In fact, I was just there last Saturday. As well, there are loads of great local and international cuisines. Furthermore, the people are mostly friendly and helpful. Okay. Be specific. Okay, so don't say my city, say Budapest. So be specific. Okay, so let's focus on these concepts as we go through part 1. Let's be concise. Let's use our vocabulary. Avoid words like things and stuff. Okay, don't use those words. Be specific, be concise, and be expressive. Think generic. Okay, think about, if I ask 10 people this question, what would most people say? So keep that in mind. Here we go with some part 1 questions. So after you go through these 3-4 warm-up questions with the examiner, then the examiner will say, that is the end of, so let's start they'll say, let's continue with part 1. For part 1, I'll ask you some questions on a general topic. And in this case, they'll say, let's talk about languages. Let's talk about languages. So let's talk about languages. First question, how many languages do you speak? Okay, how many languages do you speak? Clearly asking for a number here. Daniel says, presently I speak 2 languages, Russian and English, respectively. My native language is Russian. As for English, I've studied it for a year and I need to keep pushing forward. Okay, Daniel, I made some corrections in real time. There are a few grammatical errors. Daniel, it looks like you're overcomplicating the language, the English language. You don't need so many parts to make sense, so careful not to overcomplicate. If you missed what I said in this video at 29 minutes, you can go back to the 29-minute marker, Daniel, and check my correction later on. This video, students, will be on our YouTube channel for a while, okay? Carolina says, well, I can say that I speak 2 languages. Spanish is my native language, and I have been studying English as my second language for the last 3 years. Very good, Carolina. And Carolina, you can be even more specific. You can say that Colombian Spanish is my native language. I speak Spanish with a Colombian dialect. Okay, so some languages like Spanish or Portuguese or Italian, or well, yeah, maybe Italian. They're spoken in multiple countries and with different dialects, so you can be even more specific. Okay. Raghu Ram, I speak 2 languages. It's too short. Okay, because naturally most people will ask you what 2 languages, right? We would expect that you express that. So Raghu, you're being too concise. You're being too short when you say I speak 2 languages. You need to say I speak 2 languages, Hindi and English, or Punjabi and English. So you have to be more precise. Okay. More expressive, sorry, is what I meant to say, more expressive. Pachu Yadav says, I speak 4 languages. One is English. The others are Nepali, Hindi, and Bhojpuri and Mathili. In fact, Nepali is my national language, and English is used in my office. Okay, Pachu, be clear. So your native language is Nepali. Nepali is your native language, right? So make sure you say that. Okay. Raghu says, I speak 2 languages, Telugu being my native language, and I also speak English on a daily basis to communicate with friends at work. Very good. Amardeep Singh says, well, I can speak 3 languages, Hindi, Punjabi, and English, but in the future, I would also like to learn Arabic. Why, Amardeep? If you make a statement like that, tell me why. Because I have a lot of clients who speak this language, or I have some friends that speak Arabic, so express why, okay? Dung Nguyen says, I'm bilingual in English and Vietnamese in daily conversation and business. My proficiency in English helps me become more communicative in the workplace, where I've been collaborating with a multinational team of colleagues. Okay, a little bit of a change, Dung, on the end there to make it clear for the listener. Okay, otherwise good. All right, it's pretty good. So I speak 3 languages, English and Hungarian as a native speaker, and Japanese at a conversational level as well. I am currently learning Spanish because I spend quite a bit of time vacationing in Spanish-speaking countries, namely in Central America, and I would really like to speak the local tongue. Okay, and stop there. You don't want to be too expressive, otherwise the examiner will interrupt you if you keep speaking, okay? Because you're going off topic. Now I'm starting to answer why I'm studying Spanish, not how many languages I speak. So here we go. Repeat after me. How many languages do you speak? I speak 3 languages, English and Hungarian as a native speaker, and Japanese at a conversational level. As well, I'm currently learning Spanish because I spend quite a bit of time vacationing in Spanish-speaking countries, namely in Central America, and I would really like to speak the local tongue, okay, or the local dialects. All right. So, some really nice answers there, students. Thinking about how much you should say, a lot of times students ask me, like, how much should I say to a question, Adrian? Like, what is the right amount of information? Okay. The right amount of information is roughly how much you can type in one chat or message in YouTube. Okay, so you'll notice something interesting. Keep this in mind. Here's an interesting kind of idea for you to consider. How did people who came up with messaging think about I think it's a 120 character limit for messages on your phone. I think it's the same for the YouTube chat as well. The reason why they came up with that number in part is because that's about how much space you need to clearly express the average thought. Okay, so I mean, this is maybe a little bit of an oversimplification of human communication, but it is an interesting consideration. So this is tip number 3. Okay, it takes roughly 120 characters of space, in English, of course, to express the average thought in a clear, expressive, and concise way. Therefore, this is, I think it's 120, 160 maybe, and anyway, in that range. This is one reason for the maximum length of messages in many software programs. Okay. You might think I'm out to lunch, but it's actually true. So to give a clear answer, explanation, example for most questions takes about 2 to 3 sentences. I'll to make this a little bit more fair. So there's Carolina says 200 characters available. I'm going to go 150 to 200, okay? It'll be a little bit clearer. So it takes roughly 150 to 200 characters of space. Now this is a very oversimplified concept here to express ideas, but that's about right. So it's about 2 to 3 clear sentences, all right? So that's how you should think about what you need to say. That's what a Band 8, Band 9 level student or candidate would be able to do, okay? All right, let's keep going. So that answers that question. So 2 to 3 clear connected sentences, okay? Here we go with the next question. Why is it important to speak a second language? Give me a good answer for this one. So why is it important to speak a second language? Kyber Jan says, absolutely learning a foreign language, especially English, allows us to be able to communicate with others. It also helps us study more effectively since we can search for almost any information on the internet. Kyber, very good answer. Stay away from the word thing, even when it's a part of another word like anything or everything. Okay. All right. Mirwais Kwatae says, well, if someone wants to be trouble-free in a new society and English is the second language to learn for the global society, it is essential for communicating internationally these days. Okay. Preet, can you please stop spamming the chat so I don't have to ban you? Okay. Amardeep says, please, sir, tell me when the examiner would ask us to tell me about yourself. Can we tell them the name again? You don't need to repeat your name, Amardeep, in the beginning if you've already said it. Just go and talk about other details. Sheng Hung says the two primary reasons why most people acquire a second language are for work and travel. In fact, I'm learning English to develop my international trading company. I take at least one trip abroad each year, and it's very useful for me to speak English. Very nice answer, Sheng Hung. Okay. Verk says, learning another language can help us in accessing a vast amount of knowledge. As well, it can help us to communicate with speakers of that language. Okay. Nima Tula says, well, the reason why many people acquire a second language like English is because it interconnects millions of individuals worldwide. Like, I study English because sometimes I take trips abroad. Very good. So now many students are starting to figure out this answer, explain, example strategy. Good for you, Nimatula. Here's my answer for this one, students. Okay. So, learning another language is not only important to broaden a person's scope of communication, but also to keep their mind fresh. Many people say that learning languages is like aerobics for the brain. This is another reason I've decided to pick up Spanish. Okay. All right. So here we go. Repeat after me. Why is it important to speak a second language? Learning another language is not only important to broaden a person's scope of communication, but also to keep their mind fresh. Many people say that learning languages is like aerobics for the brain. This is another reason I've decided to pick up Spanish. Okay? Again, showing you a very high band answer. There are a couple of interesting points going on here. Firstly, I'm using a correlative conjunction, not only, but also. That gives more emphasis, strength to my response. It's also a device that many native speakers use, especially those who are effective communicators. So not only, but also. Broaden a person's scope of communication is nice use of expressive English and lexical resource. Scope means range. Okay. Keep the mind fresh, again, natural, expressive. Only use these when you know that you're using them correctly, okay? Many people say that learning languages is like aerobics for the brain. What type of grammar is this? Many people say that learning languages is like aerobics for the brain. What type of grammar am I using in that sentence? And what kind of language device? It's not a metaphor, Vanessa. Okay, it's something else. So what's the grammar? And this is a question. I'm always pushing you to learn and to use a wide range of language skills in your communication. Okay, so the grammar here is, let's see, it's not an idiom. It's not idiomatic language. Okay. It's not the gerund. Very good, Pachu. So Pachu says this is using indirect speech. Very good, Pachu. Good for you. I can tell that you're studying your technical English, which is something that you should do. So go and study technical English sometimes. It's indirect reported speech. I'm saying what other people say. So many people say that learning language is like aerobics for the brain. This is indirect speech. Very good, Moonlight. Excellent. Okay. Using indirect speech in the right place in the speaking section could get you points. Okay. Very good. It's indirect speech. And what's the language device? It's not metaphor. Did anybody get the language device that's being used? There are about 7-8 different language devices used in literature and in English that can really help, okay? Absolutely, Pachu. You get the super thumbs up for today. I agree with 10 Legends. Okay, the language device that's being used is called a simile. Okay, if I can spell it. And a couple of you said it's a comparison. Yeah, the absolute word here is simile. Simile means using like or as to make a comparison. Okay? That language device is called a simile. It's not a smile. It's like smile, but with an extra I. Okay, so think of the word smile, but you add that I, it's called a simile. And similes are language devices, and similes are good to use in your speech to make comparisons to be expressive and detailed, okay? So many people say that learning language is like aerobics for the brain, because your brain isn't actually, jumping up and down, but it's kind of like that, okay? All right. So let's keep going. Let's take another question. What are the most common languages in your country? Okay. What are the most common languages in your country? Roshni, I'll definitely work to include some more similes in classes coming up, okay? So you can see more of that language device. All right. Some answers coming up. Awaz says, in my country, English, Russian, and my favorite language, which is Uzbek, are well known. Therefore, people who live in Uzbekistan learn English to get a good job with a high-paying salary. Nice job is okay, Awaz. We usually say good job, okay? Or a high-paying job. Or sometimes, one way we say it, Awaz, is a cushy job, a cushy job. Cushy means a comfortable job. Chaitra says, there are a number of languages used in my country, but the most common ones are Hindi, English, Punjabi, Kannada, and so on. And so on, really? Try to choose 3, okay? I'm guessing India, so maybe Hindi, Punjabi, and English, okay? All right. Red one, Faisal says, well, Bengali is the most popular lingo in my country because it's our native and official dialect. Moreover, we can express our emotions and feelings through this language easily. Okay, Red one. Any other languages spoken in Bangladesh? All right, let's go with Nimatullah Shakhrani says, the most spoken tongues in Afghanistan are Pashto and Persian. In fact, about 70% of Afghans speak Persian and 30% speak Pashto. Very nice. Nimatullah, I really like how you used good quantitative language there to actually say roughly how many people speak those languages. It's a good place for quantitative language. Good job, Nimatullah. Very nice. Okay. All right. Kalok Chan says, in my country, Chinese is the most common and official language for communication. A lot of foreigners begin to learn Chinese as it is becoming as popular as English. Kalok Chan, it's not bad. Try to add some more clarity. So in my country, Mandarin is the most common and official language. Secondly, Cantonese. There are 5 languages spoken within China, and it is spoken by nearly as many people worldwide, if not more, than English. Okay, Kalok Chan, that will be a better response. There's no really such language as Chinese. It's either Mandarin or Cantonese, right? I know sometimes we say simplified Chinese, but still, it's better to say Mandarin or Cantonese. Okay. All right. Let's see. So, since Canada is officially a bilingual country, its 2 official languages are English and French. Roughly 20 million people speak English as their native tongue, while another 11 million speak French. Nevertheless, it is a very multicultural state, and there are other languages spoken by more than 1 million citizens, such as Mandarin, Hindi, Punjabi, and German. Okay, roughly 3 million people speak German in Canada. All right, repeat after me. What are the most common languages in your country? Since Canada is officially a bilingual country, its 2 official languages are English and French. Roughly 20 million people speak English as their native tongue, while another 11 million speak French. Nevertheless, it is a very multicultural state, and there are other languages spoken by more than 1 million citizens, such as Mandarin, Hindi, Punjabi, and German. Okay, you can hear even a lot of Ukrainian and Italian as well. Okay, so Canada is an incredible place for languages. All right. Here are some more questions. Where do you hear people speak in another language more often? When have you needed to speak in another language? If you could choose one more language to learn, what would it be? I will leave these final 3 questions for you to do for homework. You can send it to me by email, record it on your phone in MP3 format, and send it to me at adrian@aehelp.com for a score estimate. Students, that's all the time I have for today's class. Make sure to check out our websites, aehelp.com for academic IELTS. If you like this video, we have over 100 hours of HD video lessons with speaking interviews, reading, listening, writing, examples, strategies, interactive course. You can get an app that connects this website to use on your phone. So lots and lots of help for you. For the academic, aehelp.com. Click that big red button to join us there. And for the general version of the exam, again, you can see lots of videos with me and some with other teachers as well. Click that big red button there. That's at gieltshelp.com. If I didn't catch an important question that you had or an answer, don't worry about it. Happy seeing. Next time I'll catch up with you. You can always email me as well. Tomorrow I will be back with task 1 line graph and a task 2 essay. So tomorrow's classes will focus on the writing section. Thank you so much, students, for watching. I hope you've had a great week so far, and I hope it continues to be in your favor. Much love to all of you from the heart of Europe, beautiful city of Budapest. Bye for now.